Good afternoon, Muttonistas. Another city, another vlog, another day, another action-packed agenda. I've moved on to Philadelphia, took a train from New York, an hour and a half, not too far. As always, straight into action, and part of my reason for coming here, even though I do like Philadelphia, is Manchester City being in the Club World Cup. I've actually stumbled upon a pub full of Moroccan supporters from Wydad, or however you pronounce them, so there should be quite a feisty atmosphere in here. But the most important thing, as always, given that the football video will be separate, is how the Guinness tastes in the pubs and bars of Philadelphia. So, first pub on the agenda, Muttonistas, Con Murphy's. I think I might have packed in a bit too much again into this tour, but at least it's only going to be 2 days of pubs. And I will have come back here by the time you've seen this video to do the post-match pint. Anyway, the owner Liam reached out to me, said they have a good pint here. A couple of passers-by who happen to be Muttonistas agreed, so let's hope I agree as well. Well, Muttonistas, if I had any doubts about the welcome I'd receive, would it be as strong as in Boston and New York? Well, I don't think we're under any doubts whatsoever here. Let's get stuck right in and check out the pint of Guinness at Con Murphy's. So Muttonistas, Con Murphy's, a bar over 2 floors, another rapturous welcome, and I've gone upstairs to do this so that you can hear clearly what I'm saying. Of course, it'll be an absolute melee and scrum when I do my Instagram review downstairs, but that's a different type of review, also fun. I've actually had another fresh pint coming for me. That pint that I just videoed looked very, very good. I did a little bit of photography, so it's about 5 minutes old. So we'll try one that's absolutely fresh, because I do like to showcase the best that these pubs can offer. I think I've probably found the place where Moroccans are drinking. I've no idea how many people in Morocco are strictly Islamic and how many people do drink, but a fair few outside, and I'm guessing they didn't have a Scooby what's going on inside with me and the Muttonistas. Anyway, itching to have my first pint of the day, and I think this is going to be good. I just look at how many people are on it, always very important, and well over half the pub are on the Guinness. So we'll just let that settle for a few seconds or minutes, well, probably not a few minutes even. It does look good, I have to say. A very clean head, no bubbles at all, good size, good temperature, maybe a little on the cold side, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. And I have actually a couple times rushed these videos and drank mainly on Instagram videos before it's actually totally cleared, but it still actually tastes pretty good if you do that. If anybody wants to slaughter me on an old video for that, well, I'd say try it yourself. Order 2 pints and try one which hasn't quite settled and one which has, and you'll find there's not actually that much of a difference. The bar itself isn't very far away from my hotel, which is good. It was a 5-minute walk. there was the team from Flamengo parking up in the West End nearby, and a lot of supporters out there looking to see the players walking into the hotel. Maybe quite a few fans from different countries here. I've not actually checked the schedule for other games. Maybe there's another game coming up in a few days' time. Anyway, the pint's settled. It's the most important thing. Let's give it a go. Quite good, quite good. I'm going to call this a creamer, this one. Could be with doing a little bit less bitter. I'm not sure why that is, but it is very slightly bitter, but it's still quite a tasty pint. So I can't quite call it an absolute creamer, but it's still pretty good. Although they often say that your second or third pint is actually when you can appreciate Guinness at its best. So much for all those mucky pints you were talking about. I haven't had, well, I've had one in New York and two actually in Boston, and you probably won't see them. You might see the one in New York because it was a bit better than the other two. But some of you have tried to intimate to me that I'll be served up with foul Guinness everywhere. That's not the case. Okay, not as good as I'm used to in Ireland, or as good in the top places in Britain, but it is actually very much about what you get in average or above average places in Britain. So a lot of you like that. A lot of it is fairly decent. And Muttonese actually, it's improving a little bit on the second go. And I am quite pleased to say that this is holding up well. That's very good. There's an upstairs and a downstairs bar here, and Liam, the landlord, brought me my pint and the one that had gone off a bit whilst I was filming from the downstairs bar. Maybe the lines are shorter, maybe it's a better pint from up there. Of course, it's actually quite quiet, so I can film up there. Absolutely heaving down there. So that's probably where it's being drunk into form. Okay, good start to the day this is. I mean, some pretty good lining and lacing and lacquering there. Very, very nice. Anyway, I'm going to finish this off, move on to pub number 2 of my tour of Philadelphia, which will be a bit shorter than the New York and Boston vlogs that you've probably seen already, and go to the place where most of you told me they thought I could find the best pint of Guinness in Philadelphia. Let's see, this is set a reasonably high benchmark. Okay, Muttonistas, pub 2, day 1, Philadelphia, the meeting house. Way out of town, Fish Town or something like that. It is quite a way in a taxi, not ridiculous, not as far as some of the places I went to in New York, but it was the most requested pub by you, the Muttonistas. They don't use branded glasses here. They do look like 20-ounce ones, though. Again, I keep harping on about that. And the Muttonistas aren't drinking it into form. It is a packed small pub, but thankfully there is a good terrace outside where I can film. I'm really itching to try this one, and I hope yet again that you've served me right with your recommendations, Muttonistas, and it is indeed the best pint that I have here in Philadelphia. Let's go in and find out. I do have to say, Muttonistas, that does look the business. Right, Muttonistas, the meeting house. Very busy pub, small pub with quite a big patio, which is good because I do have a lot of followers gathered around. With a very nice flag as well. So I'm going to review this in front of them. Usually I do that for the Instagram reel only, but I'm going to do it for the YouTube video because I wouldn't want people to miss the review. And it is a gorgeous looking pint. And I'm just looking around here and virtually everybody's on the Guinness. Half an hour late just for a change. So that means the Muttonistas should have been drinking this into form. Anyway, I have to give my verdict because there's only one way to find out how good this pint is. That Muttonistas is the best I've had in Philadelphia. Okay, it's only my second pub, but I have to utter those hallowed words, Muttonistas. It's an absolute cream. So I think that was a popular verdict. It is really nice. Again, if you compare it to Britain or Ireland, slightly enhanced levels of bitterness, but other than that, it is really, really good. I can see why people come from a long way to come here to drink stout. What a great atmosphere as well, and I'm sure we're going to have a great session here.
Woo! Creamer, let's go!
Great crowd there, a flag and Liverpool, Everton supporters, and one thing that stands out about this pint, the temperature is absolutely spot on. It's not too cold like some pints are in America. Actually, Britain's the worst culprit for serving freezing cold Guinness. I did ask a lot of the punters whether they came from this part of Philadelphia, Fishtown, and yeah, I think there are a lot of locals here. And they say that down in the main part of Fishtown, it's all cocktail bars, so this is the place for a pint. And I have to say, Muttonistas, I mean, this looks like a very, very residential area, but it's one of those warm places where people locally come, have their beverages, and they've drunk it into form. I'll see you at the next pub, which is called the Black Taxi, which is back on the way to central Philadelphia. Right, Muttonistas, final pub of day one. It's actually only a 2-day vlog, this in Philadelphia. The Black Taxi, another place that a lot of you have told me to come. And a lot of the people who I've met so far today in Philadelphia reckon that this place has the best pint. We've just had a pretty good one at the last pub, so I'm hoping that the Black Taxi can surpass that, and we'll be talking about raining absolute creamers all over the place because the bar, yet again, is absolutely rammed with Muttonistas. Right, Muttonistas, as I said, the final pub of day one of my Philadelphia vlog, the Black Taxi. Packed to the rafters, and I believe that the name has to do with the fact that on St. Patrick's Day, a black cab, like a London-style cab, always comes and parks up here. One main bar, which you saw me walk into, and a very small bar on the side. Very, very cosy, not quite as snug, but it's not too far off. I believe everybody's hammering the Guinness, and I believe that this pub sells more Guinness than anywhere else. I don't know if that's true. It was a rumour that was cited to me at the last pub. Anyway, Muttonistas, as always, the proof of the pudding.
Of course a bus comes by.
That is pretty good, that is. I have to say, that is pretty good. Now, again, I have a slightly different scale, as you know, for the United States as opposed to Britain and Ireland, but by US standards, that is an absolute creamer. Again, perfect temperature, great head. There are one or two little bubbles, but it's not detracted from the taste too much. And of course, I'm getting the correct flavours from the Guinness and not the excessive bitterness that actually can impair a pint, and does so, unfortunately, in a few pubs here. Anyway, I'll have a little break, and come back to you as I get further down the pint, because it's not just important to assess the initial sip, it's what you get further down the glass as well. Yeah, again, beautiful, head staying solid, the liquid that you don't actually consume, the black liquid seeping through. As you know, Muttonistas, it's not something that happens often, but it does happen, and it is a disaster sign if it doesn't and the head starts breaking up. I love the temperature of this as well. Wow, if only I could have a long session here. So you might not know, Muttonistas, that I've actually been to Philadelphia a couple of times before, but I've been stuck in hotels and conference centres in the middle of the city, slipped out to the farmers market once, which is nice. I hope I can cover it. I don't know if I'll be able to do so. And just stayed and visited pubs and restaurants close to those hotels, not really knowing where I was going. Obviously, with you all following me, I get some corking recommendations like here. In terms of where I am now, it's another residential area, this time called Fairmount, and I'm quite surprised by how good the pubs are in these residential districts, because if you do that in Britain, it's not usually very good. They're usually places where, you know, the guy with his flat cap and his dog are drinking 1 or 2 pints of Guinness with his friend, and that's all they pull through the lines every day, and then you'll get some younger people after work drinking lager or something. But here, wow, what a crowd. Anyway, Muttonistas, it's also a pleasure to be doing this outside. I couldn't do it inside, it was a bit tight for space. I'm going to do the Instagram review inside, and I think these boys inside are going to go absolutely bonkers. Okay, Muttonistas, the second and final day of this Philadelphia vlog. A bit of a shorter one because I've got the match, don't forget, on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So it's going to be 3 more pubs before I wind up the video. First, the new Deck Tavern. Not one that a lot of you recommended, but some other publicans here did, and the pub reached out to me myself. It's in the university district, so I don't know how many students there are here, whether this is busy. It is 2:30, supposed to be here at 2 in the afternoon, so maybe this might be a quiet pub where not many people have come. I know some Muttonistas have arrived here, but I'm hoping for once it's a bit quiet so I can get my work done reasonably swiftly. Who knows, let's head in, let's find out. Hi everybody.
Hey,
Hi. I'm good, thank you.
Downtown, like after work hours. I don't want to be down there.
Okay, Muttonistas, new Deck Tavern. Very good looking pint this, and even now I have the staff watching this video with excitement and anticipation. You know, Muttonistas, I give honest reviews. I have to say, it looks good, the temperature feels good, a little cold, but not, shall we say, mega freezing cold as you get in Britain. And another 20-ounce glass. Loving the number of pubs that I've been to so far in the US that do have 20s, because a lot I remember in the past all had 16s. So let's give this a go. There's only one way to find out how good a pint this is. That's good. That's very good. Muttonistas, it looked like a creamer, and it is a creamer. And look at that lacing. Isn't it beautiful, Muttonistas? And don't forget, this is in the afternoon when the Guinness isn't coming out at full pelt. I'm going to just have a look to see. There are a few people on the Guinness, but it's not as if you know, there are like 50, 60, 70 people like some of the pubs I've been to because of the afternoon, because of it being in the university district and the students being away. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's this good when it's not as busy as it might be. I'm sure it's even better when the pub's absolutely packed. So Muttonistas moving through the pint, it's drinking well, the head's holding firm. There's still a decent amount of lacing and lacquering, whatever you want to call it, on the side of the glass. And as I said earlier, slightly on the cold side, but it's not bad, it's a nice pint. Again, the reason it's not an absolute creamer, I've detected slightly elevated levels of bitterness, not too much though. And I understand that in the state of Pennsylvania, the laws on line cleanings are very strict. It has to be done, I think, every couple of weeks. I think that's a good thing. It means that the customer is getting decent quality control there. Historically, I understand, and maybe still in some states, some of the bars are a little bit lax with their cleaning. Maybe you can get away with that with lager, but you can't get away with that when you're dealing with Guinness. And I was vaguely aware of Philadelphia having an Irish connection, and a lot of the people here think more so than New York. I don't know. I mean, when I saw that little island in New York, I thought, wow, this is amazing. But maybe it's because New York's got such a big population that the Irish groupings or the Irish diaspora is a little less concentrated than, say, in Boston. Anyway, the thing that matters, Muttonistas, this pint's a good one. And as I finish the pint off, don't forget that this is all on an American scale. I have to say, if I got this pint in England, I'd be very happy with it, actually. If I got it in Ireland, I'd be okay about it, knowing that I could get better. So that shows how good this is. All you people who said I'm getting all these mucky pints when I come over to America, well, maybe I happen to be in the major Irish centres, maybe I happen to have been guided by you, my followers, to the best places, but they've been pretty good so far. And somebody in the comments suggested that you can't get an absolute creamer in the United States. Well, it depends what you're comparing it to. If I were trying to compare everything to places like Bowes, the Gravediggers, Hughes's in Galway, Miles Breen's in Limerick, well, probably there wouldn't be any absolute creamers anywhere outside Ireland, so that's why I have to have different scales. Please rest assured that I don't regularly drink in places where I don't like the Guinness, and this I'd happily take. Okay, Muttonistas, pub number 5, pub number 2 of day 2, the Black Sheep, another highly recommended pub, and now we're back bang in the middle of the central area of Philadelphia. Pub is packed out, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. I love it when people take a little time off work to see me, and I'm looking forward to sinking a pint in that heady atmosphere. Okay, Muttonistas, the Black Sheep. 5th out of 6 pub here in Philadelphia, and it's a bar that has 3 levels. The main bar where I did the walk-in, where hopefully the Muttonistas are drinking the Guinness into form. I'm at the downstairs bar, there's one upstairs as well. Very short lines here, and it's private. Whether much has come out of this pipe or not, I don't know. Maybe the Instagram review, if I have one from upstairs, will be better, or maybe it'll be the same, who knows. Anyway, there are actually a few bubbles here, not very many, so slightly disconcerting, but I'm guessing that the owner's very confident in his product, and he is actually partly US, partly Mansfield in the East Midlands, and I detected the accent being, well, forgive me if I'm being a bit rude here, mid-Atlantic. I talked to him about Field Mill, the ground at Mansfield, and he said he hadn't heard anybody mention it for a long time. Anyway, I digress. Let's get on with the pint. Good old-fashioned glass with the large lettering. Good temperature, again 20 ounce. Very, very nice. I'd say slightly on the cold side. I'm not sure, it's hit the bar between creamer and absolute creamer, so I'm going to leave it there on the bar for you muttonistas to decide if you ever come here. I think you know, if you're just viewers who won't know, that I can leave it at that and you'll know what I'm talking about. It is very slightly bitter, but I think maybe if I have one upstairs for the Instagram review, it'll be slightly better just because it's been running through the lines a bit more. And of course I'm doing this on my US scale. Grade 1 Ireland, Grade 2 Britain, Grade 3 US and continental Europe. I'd say in the US it's actually a little bit better than in continental Europe. Not quite as good as Britain, and of course everywhere is somewhat behind Ireland. And again, I've said this a few times in this video, you can't compare the two, so I'm going to stick with the scale here. If I say somewhere's an absolute creamer in the US, don't expect it to be the same quality as the Gravediggers in Dublin. Okay, muttonistas, this pint is drinking well, the head stayed solid, and I think it's improving. Sometimes they don't, and most of the pints here actually have improved. Maybe it's because they are slightly cold and they've got a little warmer as I drink through. We have. Anyway, muttonistas, I am going to finish this pint, a lovely pint, head up into the melee, the maelstrom that is the pub upstairs, or the bar upstairs, where I'm going to do my Instagram review. One more pub to come called Fergie's, and I hope that's a good one as well. Right, muttonistas, final pub of the Philadelphia vlog, Fergie's. Took a while for me to get in contact with them, but when they did, they were massively enthusiastic. A lot of you, the muttonistas, also enthusiastic about this pub. I've had some good ones here in Philadelphia, and I'm hoping that we finish off on a high note. Judging by your comments, I think we will. Let's go in and find out. Well, muttonistas, I just love a rapturous welcome like that. I can feel a session coming on here. Okay, muttonistas, Fergie's, the final pub on my YouTube video of Philadelphia. Fairly central, packed out. I'm so glad to see so many people here, and I do have to thank whoever gave up their seat for me here, because there's hardly any room at all. I'm next to the bar. The pint was poured by Fergie himself, the proprietor here, and it is a very good looking pint. Again, I mean, I've said this a million times, bubbles are a dangerous sign on top of a pint. I don't see any here. The temperature is actually very good. Some pints here have been cold, not freezing cold like the ones I get in Britain, as I said, but this is on the money for the temperature. Again, another proper sized 20-ounce glass with the old style Guinness lettering on the side. Don't know if I'll split the G here, but we'll give it a go. Of course, Muttonistas, it's not essential. It's just a fun game. Getting through that white head deep into the liquid is what you want to do, because you want to drink the liquid rather than the head. You want to drink it through the head. Anyway, enough waffle from me. Time to assess the pint, which has settled beautifully. Yeah, they've got it right. It's not going to be like Ireland. Please stop writing into me to say, oh, you're comparing it to the Gravediggers. But this is a mighty fine pint. It is a creamer, Muttonista. And I think that's a popular verdict. If it's like that when I give the YouTube review, God knows how this place is going to react to the Instagram review. And what an absolute pleasure to see an Anspach and Hog Day London Black shirt here, all the way in Philadelphia. We all dream of the day when possibly it might be shipped over and people can enjoy what I consider the finest pint of stout or porter in Britain. And Muttonistas, I have to comment on the number of young ladies who have come up to me and said, oh, you persuaded me to drink Guinness, and they really like it. They've been converted, shall we say. Don't forget, a 5% continental lager will have more calories than a Guinness, which is more sessionable, 4.1, 4.2. People going around saying it's heavy. No, I can drink this all day, all year long. Obviously I don't, but this business about it not being a summer drink, I think, is constant. I'm not sure what the gas mix is here. I think the highest ratio you're going to get is 70-30, maybe 75-25. And I think they might be having a few problems with their gas. I don't know. Maybe I got special treatment because my head was of the right size, although it is thinning out a little bit. Okay, Muttonistas, we're coming to the end of our video. 6 of the best pubs I could find in Philadelphia. No sour or manky pints amongst them, so very pleased to report that everywhere I've been to has had a good pint. And thank you all for making those good recommendations. City are playing tomorrow, so come on City. But in the meantime, I'm going to remind you, as I sign off, to keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing, but most of all, Muttonistas, don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.